Top reason perhaps is the regular captain Virat Kohli not playing the test match. He had a back spasm. Let me start with you, Sarandeep. How much were Virat Kohli's energies missed in the test match?
It's missed big time, Rekha, because when we talk in the last shows also, and we talk about that KL Rahul is coming into it and what Virat Kohli has done for the team, you see the way Virat plays. He plays with a lot of aggression all the time. He was always evolving around the players and running and shouting and clapping and doing a lot of things. And certainly then we see KL Rahul, he's cool and calm, standing into the slips, making few changes over there. But if we see from last 4 or 5 years, team plays like what Virat Kohli, the way Virat Kohli plays, with a lot of aggression. That aggression we haven't seen into the field. The ball, the fielders are standing like this, slips fielder, they catch it, simply fine. Yes, okay, good bowling, like that. We haven't seen any aggression. We haven't seen any firepower in it. I think that fire is missing into it, what Virat Kohli brings into it when he comes into the captaincy.
Mihir, who was missed the most? Virat Kohli, the captain, or Virat Kohli, the batter in this test?
I don't agree with that analysis that Virat Kohli was missed. I mean, what happened in Australia? Virat Kohli came home to be with his wife who was about to give birth, and India won. And if you look at the captaincy, the way your previous guest said it missed, KL Rahul was a very subdued captain. Well, Ajinkya Rahane in Australia last year was a very, very subdued captain. And yet, India pulled off a great series. I think the turning point, you mentioned 5 turning points. As far as I'm concerned, there is only one turning point, which is the batting. So far, when you've seen Indian victories abroad, apart from Australia, has been carried by the bowling. I mean, there has been a renaissance in Indian bowling. India now has a pace attack, like the like of which it hasn't had since it first started playing cricket in the 30s with Nisar and Amar Singh and so on. And this pace attack has carried India. But you cannot win test matches if in the first innings you make 201. It's a very simple rule of test cricket. If you want to win test matches, you make a big score in the first innings. The Indian batting just didn't start up. Look, there was nobody to match what Elgar did. On a wicket, on a third day and a fourth day wicket, they batted so well.
Now, let's also talk about India's middle order. Pujara and Rahane made enough effort to stick on to their positions. They'll be retained for the next test. Prakash, coming to you, did they make enough effort to save this test match or for India to win this test match? Of course, they did make an effort to save their place in the side, but were their effort that they put in the middle, was it enough?
Well, I mean, we can look back on it today, Rika, and say that that was not enough, quite evidently not enough. But to question the effort or the commitment to the game from these two in particular, I think would be very, very harsh. That being said, players of their caliber, having got to their 50s, one would have expected that they would make up for the first inning deficit in a manner of speaking, as Mihir said, because it is very, very true that the first innings of a test match, particularly when you're playing in conditions like the Wanderers, you have to get a big first inning score, and that really sets up the game. You look at all leading test sides, they do tend to do that well, and this time India failed. But as we look at the reasons, we also have to acknowledge that South Africa, smarting from their defeat at Centurion, did come back and play brilliantly and led superbly by their captain. I also echo Mihir's views. I don't think Virat Kohli was missed, certainly not as captain. Shouting doesn't win you games. You're only as good as the other 10 in the team.
Sarandeep, coming back to you, Dravid said at the end of the match in the press conference that India needed 60 to 70 runs more in the first innings perhaps. So would you say that we are missing players of the caliber of Dravid and Lakshman who would score not just hundreds but big hundreds and stick it out in the middle?
No, I don't think so. We are missing anyone. Look, every player have his own era, and Rahul and Lakshman have his own eras. Now we are in a different type of cricketing world right now. All these players who are playing test matches, they're playing T20 cricket also. They're playing for franchises. They're playing for country. They're playing ODI, a lot of white ball crickets. Most of the players are playing test matches. They're playing a white ball cricket too. So there is a lot of differences. So we can't compare like any player to Rahul did and VVS Lakshman said that what they did and what's getting wrong over here also. There's nothing getting wrong. Yes, the only thing is the few middle order players, they have to take up more responsibilities like PUJARA. The way he batted at second innings, we want him to batting at like in the first innings like this. Now he can bat positively. There is nothing like that. Because whenever he comes in, he take his own time. He'll take a lot of balls to be score runs. When he got settled down, then he started doing this. But at the same time, he didn't realize the other batsmen playing with them. He started getting under pressure because if KL is batting or Virat or Mayank, who are aggressive players, even Rohit Sharma, who are stroke makers players, suddenly they have to be stopped a bit. So this is the things when you have been in the middle order, you should keep back yourself and start scoring the way you did it in the second inning. I think this will be helping to the middle order a lot here.
Mihir, I'll have to talk to you about the other middle order batsman, Rishabh Pant, playing a reckless shot in the second innings. It looked like that he was in that typical limited overs cricket mold.
I think he was just being Rishabh Pant. I saw his test debut in Southampton against England, and he went in and tried to hit a six. I mean, that is Rishabh Pant. You either take Rishabh Pant the way he is, or you say he can't play. In fact, I must say, his wicket keeping has improved tremendously since I first saw him keep wicket for India. I think, let's be clear, let's try and look back. India, particularly when abroad, when they have won a test match, afterwards they've often lost a test match. I mean, we've had the England series here, they won at Lord's, then they had a terrible test match at Headingley, got absolutely walloped, but they came back at the Oval and won. The question here is, and in South Africa they've done it in the past, taken a lead, then lost the series. The question here is, can they come back? And that will be the sign of how new this India is, whether they will crumble. My feeling, I fear that Cape Town will go South Africa's way, but then, you know, I've been following Indian cricket since 1951 when we used to get thrashed 5-0 at home. So, you know, you'll forgive my pessimism on this, but, you know, that is because of my background, if you like. I'm so old. I remember when India thought a draw was a victory. But nevertheless, I think this new Indian team is different. And I think the question here is whether they can show, as they showed in England, that they can come back. And let's hope they can do that.
Mihir, well, we spoke about Pant, the batsman. Let me go over to Prakash and talk about Pant, the wicketkeeper who dropped a regulation catch of PETERSEN. We have a lot of other wicketkeepers sitting in the wings. Pant is there primarily because he's a good batter. Do you think he deserves his place in that side, Prakash?
Look, end of the day, as again Mihir said, I'm just echoing what he said. Certain players are the way they are. You either pick them or you don't pick them. Now, dropped catch, anybody can drop a catch. The question really is, when Pant played that shot, was he really being rattled by everything he'd done behind the wickets? And were the South Africans really coming after him? And did that get his goat? And he came down and played that third ball. I don't know. Only Pant will know that. And if it had come up, we would have said, what a great counter-attacking innings. So I don't think dropped catches by themselves. In fact, yes, on hindsight, we can look back. I consistently believe one side has to play better than the other to win a test match. South Africa played better. Can India improve? Yes. Must they improve? Yes. Why did we win in Centurion? It was, I believe, that 100 from KL Rahul which set it all up. You need one batsman at least to go ahead and get a big score. And Dean Elgar, I'm very, very happy for him. Remaining 86 not out 4 years ago, losing the test match, 96 not out this time and winning the game. That's what cricket is all about. It's a great leveler. And I do believe that unless there are injury worries, Newland's presents an opportunity for India to write history again.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. The other thing we have to discuss here is the difference between the two bowling groups, India and South Africa. Suddenly, coming back to you, South Africa managed to take all 20 wickets. India took just 13 of them. South Africa bowling 123.2 overs and India 147.2 overs. Would you say India not managing to take 20 wickets was a big setback for the team?
Yes, kind of, because if we see we have a world-class off spinner in our team who already took 424 wickets, And after, I mean, he's such a senior bowler, and still he don't get much of the opportunity in the second innings to bowl. He bowled only 10 or 11 overs. I don't know what KL Rahul was thinking at that time. Why not Ashwin put into the before to all this? When we talk in the last show, he said Mohammad Siraj is not fully fit. So India is only left with Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Shami. They are two main strike bowlers. What if one of them got injured, or one of them get tired of one of them not getting their lines properly? Then Ashwin has to be pulled chip in. He has to be bowled at one end. He has to be take one end and let the other three fast bowlers rotating like Shardul Thakur, Mohammad Shami, and all these people are rotating from their side. It won't happen at that time. I think there we can say that the lack of bit of captaincy will be happen where we feel the rotation of bowlers. It will be not at the proper mark, and that's why we didn't get the wickets and we lost the test match.
Mihir, would you like to add to it? Why did the Indian pacers fall short? It didn't look like they bowled badly.
Well, actually, on the third day, as Ajinkya Rahane himself admitted, when they started, the South African innings started, I thought, got the wrong line and length, and they allowed South Africa to make a start. If you see the previous three innings where India kept the South African batsmen reined in, India got an early breakthrough. This time they didn't get an early breakthrough. And going back to PANT, may I say, I have a feeling that PANT may have been seduced by the idea that the wicket was so bad that your name is on the ball, so you better hit the ball. Whereas I don't think the wicket was that bad. And the Indian bowling improved, but I think the main factor was where Shami bowled very well. Siraj, of course, injury may have affected it. I think Bumrah has always been the man who really spearheads this attack. And Bumrah just didn't manage to do that. I mean, he's a great bowler, he's a very fine bowler, but he just didn't manage to do that. In the past, if you look at the victories India's had, Bumrah has produced a couple of balls that have undid batsmen and therefore paved the way to victory. And Bumrah just didn't do that.
Well, talking about Mohammad Shami, he managed just 3 wickets in the match. Prakash, what was the difference between Shami of the previous test and Shami of this test? Would you say the way he bowled in Centurion with seam up, he wasn't bowling that way?
No, not at all. I think Shami bowled just as well. He was probably the best of the seamers. If you for a minute just compare the top 3 and leave Shardul out for that unbelievable performance in the first innings. Think back, without that effort from Shardul, where would India have been in this test match? That being said, I also feel that luck plays a huge factor. Let's be honest about it. I mean, the amount of plays and misses. Another day, those go to hand. India got all out, bowled out for 36. Everything worked for Australia. Sometimes it doesn't. I just feel that the sort of post-mortem of a test match needs to happen on what is expected to be done. Bumrah went for over 4 runs and over in the second innings, and unfortunately wasn't able to really make the same impact. Were the Indian bowlers a bit too impatient? Were they trying too hard? Did they bowl just a little further up? Did they play into the hands of Petersen and Bavuma to allow them to play the front foot strokes? All of those questions will come in, but I think the Indian team has 4 days before they reassemble at Newlands. There will be some soul searching. I don't know what the injury situation is. I'm actually very concerned seeing Shami at the end of the game with the cold pack on his bowling shoulder.
Right.
If that happens, who knows what will happen.
But before we end this discussion, we'll have to discuss about Jasprit Bumrah, the incident that happened between him and Jensen. Sarandeep, would you say it may have rattled Bumrah a little bit?
No, I don't think so. It will be happen because Bumrah is a senior pro now. He's playing for so many years. So he handled these things so many times. He see all this. He into this position with so many times. So I don't think so. It will be handled like rattling on this situation. The only thing is what I feel is there might be Bumrah looks very easy and calm. He said it looks like that. He thinks he will get the batsmen out, but will be not happen. I think from the body language and from look on his face, it looks like that he comes very easily and smoothly. Okay, fine, I'll get them. But it will be not happen. This is, I think, what I feel as a player to see other players' faces, what actually going into his mind. So I think for the next test match, I think Bumrah has to be more careful for these things because you have to get them out. If you don't get them out, you don't get it. So better be careful next time.
Mihir, would you say Bumrah was channeling his inner Virat Kohli?
Well, possibly. I don't know enough about the inner BUMRAH. I can only comment on the outer BUMRAH that I have seen. But I would say about Janssen, South Africa have certainly discovered a very fine bowler, and I'm not sure how much intelligence searching the Indians did before the series about Janssen. I've seen this in the past. Suddenly India go abroad and a new bowler comes up and surprises them. Now, of course, a lot of research goes on and maybe they did that. I'm not sure that Bumrah's tussle with Janssen had any impact. What worries me, and I echo what Prakash has said, they've got 4 days to recover for Cape Town. What worries me is that on a wicket where all the experts said anything over 225 would be very difficult, if the winning side wins by 7 wickets, psychologically, that's a huge, huge advantage. And I hope that psychological advantage does not mean that South Africa go to Cape Town thinking that they can master the Indian bowling. That would be a problem if that is how the psychological advantage has slipped to South Africa.
Well, a mouth-watering contest awaits us in Cape Town with the series level at 1-all. With that, a wrap on Turning Point. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the show.